She was still sleeping with this man after Hannah was born.
Yes, I was. Because we decided that we wasn't going to be together. Been on and off for 5 years.
The guy, he just slept with her 2 weeks ago. My bed. She didn't go to his house. She didn't go to a hotel. It was the bed that we shared.
She leave the house every time. It's always when a private car come, or it's after 3 a.m. That's the only time he able to get away from his wife, so-called.
What?
It was that said.
How are you getting up at 3 a.m. and leaving the house?
So there was no trust. I didn't trust him, he didn't trust me.
I get that you all were in a bad place in your relationship, but what does trust have to do with you playing Wonder Woman and jumping out the window?
This case kicks off wild. Mr. Patrick says he might not be the dad of Ms. Pence's twins because she cheated with a guy who crashed at their place. Ms. Pence insists Mr. Patrick is the dad, and the DNA will prove it. Drama, confusion, and awkwardness await.
Mr. Patrick, you say 5 years ago you made a huge mistake by opening your doors to a stranger who needed a place to stay because that man betrayed you and slept with your girlfriend, Ms. Pence. Today, you're here to prove that you didn't father Pence's fraternal twins, 4-year-olds Larry and Carrie, and the other man did.
Mr. Patrick explains how they let a random guy stay over, but he left suddenly. Soon after, Ms. Pence disappeared and came back the next day looking like a mess, then confessed she slept with the guy. The whole situation, peak drama.
Well, he stayed maybe 5 or 6 days, and he up and moved out. And I questioned her. I said, wonder why he just didn't left. Is it because me and you argue a lot? You know, time goes on. Me and her sat around and had a few drinks, and she up and leaves and goes across the street to the neighbor. 10:30 runs around. 2, 3 o'clock comes around in the morning. Still no Miss Pence. Well, she doesn't show up until the next day, about 10:30 in the morning.
Ms. Pence says she cheated because Mr. Patrick kept accusing her of it. She regrets it, but things are messy, especially since she actually went looking for the guy afterward. This excuse has "worst mistake of my life" written all over it.
Larry had continuously, from day one, accused me of cheating constantly. I had never slept with anyone else before that night.
You're so flirtatious.
I was that's how I was brought up. I'm constantly calling people honey and babe.
What did
that's
I tell you?
I'm from the South. That's how I was raised. It has nothing to do with that. I never slept with anyone before that.
Ms. Pence pulls out a calendar to prove the twins' conception lines up with Mr. Patrick, not the other guy. Mr. Patrick's not buying it, and her timeline doesn't help. It's an awkward back and forth that drags the kids into the mess.
On November 2nd, Your Honor, is the date that me and Mr. Patrick had sex, and then on August 7th is the date that the twins were born.
That don't mean that. That's a 5-day window.
It does. The doctor had said that the twins were conceived right around the 2nd of November. The twins were born almost completely full term, and if you count those dates back, it only leads to Mr. Patrick.
Mr. Patrick doubts Larry is his because the kid's rambunctious and might have ADHD. He claims it doesn't run in his family, but a psychiatrist explains ADHD is complicated. Spoiler alert, Mr. Patrick isn't convinced.
I think he's ADHD or something like that. You know what I mean? He doesn't listen. He's rambunctious.
He's a little boy.
I understand
Mr.
he's
Patrick.
a little boy, and I hope he grows out of it someday, but I believe he's ADHD or
There's
something.
nothing wrong with
It
And so,
doesn't run in my family.
How do you
Doesn't
know
run
that
in
doesn't
Well,
run
I've
in your
been with
family?
you for 10 years, honey.
It doesn't matter. You don't know every single thing about your family history.
Living together hasn't been fun. Constant fighting and no intimacy for months. Ms. Pence hopes the DNA test will end the drama and bring some peace. But before that, there's a lie detector test that throws a wrench in the plan.
We haven't even had sex in probably the past 4 months. It's just a constant argument from the time that I get up until the time that I go to bed, pretty much. It's constant argument.
and so that's why, Mr. Patrick, you asked this court for a lie detector test because you don't believe Ms. Pence is being truthful with you as to the true nature of the relationship with this other gentleman.
No.
Lie detector time, and Ms. Pence gets caught lying about the number of times she cheated. Mr. Patrick's like, I knew it, while Ms. Pence blames nerves. This doesn't make things easier before the DNA results drop.
Ms. Pence, you met with a licensed polygraph examiner. During the last 10 years of your relationship with Mr. Patrick, have you had sexual contact with any other man other than the man whom you admitted to cheating with? You said no. The lie detector determined you were being deceptive.
How is that?
Big moment.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Patrick, you are the father.
I told you that you was the father. I told you.
Right from the start, there's drama. Judge Lake introduces Ms. Hendricks, who says Mr. Pacheco bailed on their relationship because he doubts he's baby Isaiah's dad. Mr. Pacheco heard someone else might be the father, and now he's unsure. Trust me, This gets crazier by the second. Buckle up.
Ms. Hendricks, you were once in a committed relationship with the defendant, Mr. Pacheco. Now you say that doubts about your 6-month-old son Isaiah's paternity has destroyed your relationship, torn the rest of your family apart.
Yes, Your Honor.
They fall in love, move in within months, and then Ms. Hendricks' brother starts a rumor that her ex might be the father. She insists it's not true, but the drama's just getting started. Mr. Pacheco isn't buying it and adds his own doubts into the mix.
Well, he's listening to rumors that an ex-boyfriend is possibly the father of our son. The rumors are coming from my brother, which is with him. We met online. About 3 months after talking online, we met in person. We moved in together, each other. It was like love at first sight. Like, I think we both fell in love over the telephone before we even met.
Mr. Pacheco overheard her family talking about another man being Isaiah's dad. Yikes. This planted serious doubts, and he's wondering if he's raising someone else's kid. But just when things seem clear, Ms. Hendricks fights back to defend herself.
Before the ex situation, I heard her over talking on the phone with a family member. The family member kept telling her, your ex wants me to tell you to tell the baby before I go to jail, please keep in contact with me. Yeah, that's what started giving me more doubt. After getting more doubts about the situation, Mr. Hendricks here that's inside of me, you know, he started to, one day we went out.
No, that's not true.
Mr. Pacheco left Ms. Hendricks at 7 months pregnant due to the rumors. She was alone and struggling. He showed up for the birth, cutting the umbilical cord and all. Just as it seemed they might reconcile, a missing birth certificate signature stirred things up again.
He thought that he was possibly not the father. And then we got past that. Like, he left me when I was 7 months pregnant. The whole pregnancy, the rest of my pregnancy, I was by myself on, which was very depressing. He wanted to be in a delivery room. He came to the hospital with me. I didn't see him since I was 7 months into he's seen the baby be born, and he cut the umbilical cord and everything.
But then after that, a family member of hers says, oh, that's the mailman's baby.
No.
Mr. Pacheco claims he was kicked out of the hospital before signing the birth certificate after a petty argument. Now, no one's happy. His name's missing, and it's a mess. And it only gets more awkward as Ms. Hendricks' brother takes the stand.
When I got kicked out, I tried to sign the birth certificate. If you see, his name is Isaiah Hendricks. It's not Isaiah Pacheco.
Wasn't there.
But every time I called you and I told you for us to make an appointment, you never wanted to do it. You always had excuses for everything.
It's not something I could just call and be like, oh, I want to change his name.
Look how.
So your intention the day you were in the hospital was to sign that birth certificate.
Yes.
The brother drops a bomb, claiming he saw another guy's stuff in the house, suggesting overlapping relationships. Ms. Hendricks denies it, but her brother doubles down, making everyone gasp. Now, Mr. Pacheco takes the stage, pouring out his heart.
Well, when we was all living together at the beginning of their relationship, I was living with my sister. I had noticed coming back and forth from work that there was this other man kind of hanging out. But one morning when I was leaving for work, I had noticed that this man's belongings was on the living room floor. I had caused some suspicion.
But that was different time. He came after that.
It was together.
No, it was not. Wrong. It was totally different time.
Mr. Pacheco gets emotional, saying he loves Isaiah and hates how the rumors have messed him up. He didn't grow up with a dad and doesn't want Isaiah to face the same, despite his doubts. All of this builds up to the main event, the DNA test results.
What my son is going through right now, I go through that with my dad because my dad is, denying me and my older sister. I was never raised with a mom, or the one that raised me all my life was my grandmother. She gave me everything, you know what I'm saying? And I want the same thing for him. I want him to have me and her in his life. If I didn't love her, I wouldn't even be here right now.
Mr. Pacheco, you are his father.
Mr. Williams enters confidently, saying he just knows Quenisha is his daughter, despite Ms. Wynn being very clear she disagrees. He claims it's a deep gut feeling from 35 years ago, but Ms. Wynn insists she already knows who the father is, and it's not him. Mr. Williams says the newborn Quenisha looked like him. Everyone's wondering why he's so sure when Ms. Wynn's so against it.
Mr. Williams, from the moment you saw Quenisha Mayberry, you believe that she is your biological daughter, even though the defendant claimed you are not. You hope today's results prove what you have known for 35 years.
Mr. Williams says Quenisha looks like him and that he just knows. Their relationship sounds casual, but Ms. Wynn denies remembering any romantic involvement. She admits to walking by his shop often to catch his attention, but still doesn't think he's the dad. Somehow, even though he took care of Quenisha as a baby, she insists it means nothing.
It was the first time I saw her. She looked like me, fair skin, and I just knew she was my daughter. When she, about a week after she was born. Well, she's fair skinned, I was fair skinned, her mom is dark, and the other guy, he's darker.
That's not a lot of criteria.
No, but I just felt it in my heart.
And most babies are very pale when they're born.
Well, I just felt it in my heart that she was mine.
Mr. Williams shows an old photo of him and Quenisha, hoping it proves their bond, but Ms. Wynn dismisses it and says he should have taken a DNA test years ago. Quenisha adds that she never felt the man on her birth certificate was her real dad, feeling disconnected from him. The tension keeps rising, and we're still nowhere closer to the truth.
So this is a photo of you and Quenisha.
Yes.
You took that together many, many years ago. She has to be, what, 3 3 or 4?
I don't remember how old she was, but yeah, that's one of the photos.
Well, Your Honor, he should have tested her when he had her when she was over his house like that. When she was 3 years old, he should have tested her. Why wait 35 years to do this?
Mr. Williams found Quenisha on social media and started connecting, but hearing about her childhood reveals how much was missing. Quenisha shares that she was teased for not having a dad, feeling alone without anyone to turn to. Now, she wants to know the truth, not just for herself, but for her kids, hoping to fill the void she's always felt.
And I was just trolling Facebook and social media, and I saw one of her family members, and I was just going on each one of them until I saw a post on it that said, Cali reppin' Baby, and I punched on it, and it was Quenisha, and that's when I reached out to her. And I asked her to ask a family member who I am.
And then I asked about like if he could be my father, and a family member was like, yeah, possibly.
DNA results reveal that
it has been determined by this court. Mr. Williams, you are not the father.
this courtroom drama kicks off with Mr. Thomas asking for a DNA test, unsure if he's the father of 15-month-old Hannah. He's already paying child support after signing the birth certificate under questionable circumstances, while Ms. Zachary insists he's the dad. Sparks start flying right away.
Mr. Thomas, you claim you've been petitioning the court system for a DNA test for 15-month-old Hannah Thomas for more than a year now. Now, you've been notified that you will be paying support because you signed the birth certificate, but claim it was under false pretenses.
Mr. Thomas expected a check in the mail, but instead found out half his paycheck would go to child support. Ms. Zachary says he knew this because of government assistance rules, sparking an argument. Just as you think they might settle down, things get messier with the pregnancy timeline.
2 weeks ago, Your Honor, I went to the mailbox thinking I'm getting a check, and unluckily, I end up getting a paper from child support saying that half my wage is going to be taken.
I don't mean to cut him off, but that is a lie, what he's saying. He knew that he was going to pay child support because I receive a medical card. I also receive cash assistance. I have to cooperate with child support in order to receive those assistance.
Mr. Thomas initially supported Ms. Zachary's pregnancy, but grew suspicious when the timeline didn't add up. Ms. Zachary revealed she was pregnant with twins, though sadly, one didn't survive. The courtroom then dives into what happened during their break.
Kyle was separated towards July, maybe for a couple weeks. August, we got back together, towards the end of September, she told me I feel pregnant. And we went to buy like maybe 4 or 5 pregnancy tests.
I went to that doctor's appointment and I came home. I handed him the papers. This is my results at the doctor. This is my proof of pregnancy.
No, Your Honor, I never received any paperwork, Your Honor.
Ms. Zachary admits seeing someone else during their break, which fuels Mr. Thomas's doubts about being the father. She insists she was honest when they reunited, but they argue about what counts as a break. Things get awkward fast, especially with their agreement at the hospital.
I had been on a break for over a month and a half when I was with the other guy in July.
Your Honor.
We got back together the end of July, beginning of August.
Kyle's a dirty fighter, Your Honor. We've been together almost 6 years.
Child.
Break for us is I'm leaving out the house, I'm going to go to my parents' house for a while, or you leave and you go with your mom or something like that.
No, that's not a break.
And we're always back together within a month time.
Mr. Thomas signed the birth certificate under an agreement to step up if the real dad stayed away. As time passed, his doubts grew, and their family secret plan unraveled. The tension heats up again when the story shifts to what happened after Hannah's birth.
She had her sister come get the children. I came up to the hospital. I was with her the whole night, all until she had the baby. I was there. It was no problem. If he didn't have any part, I would sign a birth certificate and Hannah would never know a thing. Nobody would never know a thing. This would be the biggest family secret that we ever had. And I had no problem with that because I'm not going to let just someone come in and destroy my family. Like, it just don't.
You destroyed your family.
It just don't leave that
he
easy.
destroyed his family.
Mr. Thomas accuses Ms. Zachary of seeing the other guy even after Hannah was born, with evidence like contacts labeled Hannah's dad. Ms. Zachary doesn't deny it, causing gasps throughout the courtroom. Then a surprise witness steps in with more revelations.
She was still sleeping with this man after Hannah was born.
Yes, I was. Because we decided that we wasn't going to be together. Been on and off for 5 years.
The guy, he just slept with her 2 weeks ago. My bed. She didn't go to his house. She didn't go to a hotel. It was the bed that we shared.
Mr. Hill, Mr. Thomas's uncle, claims Ms. Zachary once showed him a photo of Hannah's supposed father. He kept it to himself to avoid involvement. Ms. Zachary says she only brought it up because Mr. Thomas already suspected something.
I don't think that he is the father of Hannah.
You don't?
And the reason why is because she just don't look like him. And another reason ever, because I just didn't want no parts of it. I didn't want to get into it. She has shown me pictures of who she really thought was the baby's dad.
Mr. Thomas, in tears, shares his love for Hannah and the other kids, even if she isn't his. Mrs. Zachary admits her mistakes and hopes for confirmation so they can move forward. Emotions are high as they await the DNA results.
I've been okay with saying maybe she's mine, maybe she's not, but maybe she's mine, you know? I've been okay with that, you know? When I find out these results, it's gonna be like 99.999. Like, you know, it's nothing, and I don't know what that'll do to me, because I love this girl just like she's mine.
Mr. Thomas, you are her father.
Buckle up, this is one messy ride. Ms. Haddle is trying to prove Mr. Andrews is the dad of her baby, Amarella. Mr. Andrews, calling her a serial cheater, denies it. Judge Lake points out their 8-year drama-filled relationship. And trust me, it's about to get messier.
Ms. Haddle, after 8 years off and on with the defendant, the two of you called it quits just 3 months ago because he denies your 1-year-old daughter, Amarella. Now, you want to prove to him that he is her biological father.
Ms. Haddle says they got back together and even planned Amarella. Mr. Andrews doubts it, claiming she mentioned 2 other possible dads. He also argues the baby doesn't look like their other kid. It's real-life soap opera drama, and they're about to bring out text receipts.
We have had a rough road throughout these 7.5 years. 9 months into our relationship, impregnated another female while he was living with me. Started our relationship back. I had planned on having another child with him, so I did get pregnant. Amarella came, and I think the doubts came because she looks than our other child.
Mr. Andrews shares texts from another guy to prove Ms. Haddle's infidelity. No cookie recipes here. Ms. Haddle shrugs it off, while Mr. Andrews is like, see? And just when you think it's over, the infamous 3 a.m. window jump story enters.
Same person who I see this text message from is the same guy who she was having an affair with all along from the whole get-go. So when I seen that text message, my whole thought process was, I let you have it any time, and now you chicken, you're scared to come over.
I can't tell you word for word. It was
I
sexual.
know word for word.
I bet he does know word for word, but I don't, so I'm not going to disagree, but anyhow.
Ms. Haddle admits she jumped out of a window at 3 a.m. because Mr. Andrews locked the door. He says she was sneaking out to meet her married boyfriend. Ms. Haddle says she needed comfort. Super shady, right? The madness continues with the birth drama.
She leave the house every time. It's always when a private car come, or it's after 3 a.m. That's the only time he able to get away from his wife, so-called.
What?
It was that's it.
How are you getting up at 3 a.m. and leaving the house?
So there was no trust. I didn't trust him, he didn't trust.
I get that you all were in a bad place in your relationship, but what does trust have to do with you playing Wonder Woman and jumping out the window?
While pregnant, Ms. Haddle found out another woman was also having Mr. Andrews' baby. Despite the chaos, he was there for Amarella's birth, his first time seeing one of his kids born. Sweet, but the drama doesn't end as they bring up affairs during her pregnancy.
8 months pregnant, I find out there's another female pregnant in the same town that we're living in. He was there, got to see this first child born out of whatever 6 or 7 children that he does have. This is the first child that he got to see born, so that was very special. Me as well, having him there. He was there the whole pregnancy, you know, took care, rubbed my back with the kids, helped keep the house clean, you know, whatnot, but mentally he wasn't a good...
Mr. Andrews claims Ms. Haddle got flirty texts from other guys while pregnant. She denies cheating, but he insists he has proof. The eye rolls are palpable, and just when you think it can't get wilder, it's time for the DNA test.
You want to tell the guy not to call back? I'm right to tell
I can have friends, and it's not a
private call.
Like I said, there was only one person that I had friends
no
for
friends.
comfort and security, and he did have friends. He had tons of friends.
Why do you need friends when you're having babies everywhere? You already had another baby. You're not denying you getting text messages. You didn't deny. You admitted in court today that you were looking for comfort and security.
The DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Andrew, you are the father.
Ms. Morris wants a DNA test to prove Mr. Byram is the father of their baby, Jackson. They already have 2 kids, and she thinks this test could save their family. Meanwhile, Mr. Byram is ready to leave if the test says otherwise.
Ms. Morris, you've petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that the defendant is the father of your 1-month-old son, Jackson. You hope these results will save your family because you have 2 other kids together.
Mr. Byram claims this is Ms. Morris's 2nd time cheating, and he's got proof. Turns out she was with his close friend, who he found hiding in her grandma's attic. Just when it couldn't get wilder, Ms. Morris shares her own side.
Mr. Byram, you say the plaintiff admitted to sleeping with another man, and when the results prove you are not Jackson's father, you plan to leave for good.
Yes, I do.
So, Mr. Byram, there's a lot at stake today, am I
Yes,
correct?
our whole relationship is based on this paternity test right here.
Ms. Morris admits to cheating, explaining they were technically split up for a month. She was living at home, and he was down the street with another woman. It's a messy reality TV-like situation, with drama heating up.
Technically, we split up for a month, and he was living down the street at his friend's, and he was dating a different girl, and I was staying in the house with the guy, the other potential father.
The only reason I left is because you cheated on me. Period, the end.
Well, you shouldn't treat me like crap, and you've always accused
Whatever
me.
you say.
Now, we're piecing together the timeline. Ms. Morris was with the other guy on September 25th, and Mr. Byram on September 27th. He isn't buying the 1-month breakup excuse and insists it was more like 4 months. The timeline confusion is far from over.
And when did you sleep with him?
September 27th.
You could have slept with him the same day.
I slept with him on September 25th. That's why we're here today for the result.
Oh, so you slept with the other guy September 25th. You admit you slept with his friend and him within 2 days.
Yeah, sure.
It wasn't just that one time she's saying. She was sleeping with him every day.
Ms. Morris admits to sending baby pictures to the other guy's mom, who wanted updates on her maybe grandchild. Mr. Byram is visibly frustrated. The awkwardness in the courtroom just keeps rising.
She's still talking to his mom about it.
No.
Sending his mom pictures of the baby, trying to tell me that it's my kid.
His mother, the other guys, does turn out to be her sons that she wanted to be in his life. So when the baby was first born, I sent her pictures of the baby because she was asking me about how much he weighed and all that. So not an everyday thing. It only happened twice.
Mr. Byram explains he's trying to care for the baby, but emotionally, he's distant till the paternity is confirmed. Ms. Morris is upset by his hesitation. The tension is palpable as they await the results.
You treat Jackson differently?
Yes, he does. He shows my other two way more attention than he shows him.
Do you blame me?
So you do admit you're having a hard time bonding with Jackson because you don't know?
I still buy him toys and do whatever for him, but I keep my distance from him because I don't know if he's my son.
Sometimes he'll act like a dad to him, and then sometimes he won't.
Mr. Byram admits it's hard to connect with Jackson without knowing for sure if he's the father. He's trying to be present, but struggles with the uncertainty. Everyone is anxiously waiting for the DNA results.
I held the baby first.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
No, I did not.
You did not?
No. I just kept looking at him and thinking about what she did to me, and I can't do it, you know? I can't treat him the same as my other kids because I know for a fact that those other babies are mine, and I love them to death. I just can't love him full on, love him until I know that he is my flesh and blood. I just can't. Never.
The results are in.
It has been determined by Mr. Byram. You are the father.
Yes. Yes.
With me, in my home. She lives with you now? Whoa!
Temporarily.
Because by God's law.
It don't have nothing to do with that.
My son loved her and that baby. And if there was anything in this world that I could do.
Like I said, I do not just say this is my nephew. If you go on my Facebook, his pictures are everywhere. That's not it. I'm not just saying that this is not my brother's baby. I want to make sure. You see how my aunt is looking? How she is crying? My whole family is like this. Because if I have doubts that is my brother baby, I still want to be there.
Okay, buckle up, because this is one wild start. He's got major doubts about this whole thing and is ready to clear her son's name. You won't believe the twists that are coming.
Ms. Beversdorf, you have opened your case against Mrs. James to prove that her deceased son, Daryl, is the biological father of your 4-year-old son, Dakari. You say that once you prove paternity, Mrs. James better accept you both or she will never see Dakari again.
This part is heavy, but you gotta hear it. Ms. Beversdorf's really feeling the sting of rejection, and she says it's hurting both her and her son. Next up, Mrs. James drops her side of the story, and it's, let's just say, intense.
It's the whole denial thing that's affecting my child and me. They don't accept him, they don't accept me. I'm just ready for him to have acceptance, love. I want it to be real, not fake. And I just know once I get these test results, and everybody will really know the truth. I want him to know and to really have that is his father. I'd never want him to doubt that.
Oh boy, here we go. Mrs. James brings up some major suspicions and is not holding back. Ms. Beversdorf is like, no way, I was faithful. But Mrs. James isn't buying it, and you'll want to hear her next accusation.
You say the doubts were brought because of Ms. Beversdorf?
Because of the relationship that they beheld in the time that he was with her, they always fighting, her seeing other people in between the breakup.
Nobody has proof of that, though. I've never been seen with anybody else.
But when you were living in the house with
anything.
us, you're gone 2 weeks.
Just when you thought it couldn't get messier, Mrs. James throws in another bombshell. But Ms. Beversdorf is holding her ground, swearing she knows exactly who the dad is. You'd think that'd be enough, but oh no, there's more coming.
And I'm like, where's Kayla?
No, I was gone 2 weeks.
Where?
My
With someone
sister,
else?
at my sister's house.
And when my
Wasn't with
son came
anybody
to
else.
your
house. She came outside to talk to him, but she wouldn't let him in the house, and she made him leave. That was my...
Do you remember that incident, Ms.
No.
Beaversdorf?
I know who my baby dad is.
How long were you together, you and Mr. Stevenson?
4.5 years.
Now, here's where things get really awkward. Still, Mrs. James is far from convinced, and her next point is even spicier.
The next week she came back, Your Honor, and now they're telling me that she was pregnant. And you want me to say, well, okay?
I was already pregnant when me and him split up for the 2 weeks.
But I mean, respectfully, how does Ms. James know that?
You and him then had a fight. She leaves for a couple of weeks, come back. Next thing I know, her and my son sitting in my kitchen telling me she's pregnant. And I'm looking like, by who?
The drama keeps climbing as the judge asks why Daryl didn't sign the birth certificate. Things are getting tense, and Mrs. James is about to turn it up even more.
Did he sign the birth certificate?
No.
When the nurse came into the hospital room, he was at home, taking a shower, getting clothes. He only left the hospital for maybe 2.5 hours.
For the 2.5 hours he left was the one time came in with the birth certificate for him to execute?
Yes.
Mrs. James isn't done yet, and now she's accusing Ms. Beversdorf of ducking out of DNA tests. Mrs. James talks about trying to get a test done after Daryl, but Mrs. James swears she tried, and this whole scene is just one back and forth battle of who said what.
Now, I have tried to get DNA 3 times.
She never tried 3 times.
Yes, I have,
no
Your Honor.
DNA, get no DNA
because she
test.
never shows up.
She never
What
met
happened?
me nowhere. I
didn't have to meet you nowhere.
She
I
never
told you
called,
where the
she never
place
said
was.
anything.
Ms. James, take me through each time. You say 3 times.
Yes, Your Honor.
Things are about to get even messier as Mrs. James remembers a second DNA test attempt that ended in chaos. Ms. Beversdorf cuts in, claiming she didn't know anything about this plan. Mrs. James is relentless, setting the stage for even more accusations ahead.
Tell me about the second time you requested a DNA test.
She never requested it a second time.
On a Monday, over the weekend or whatever, this particular second time, I asked her, hey, let's go to legal aid, help us, somebody to get us DNA so we can get the Social Security started. We're supposed to do the test like Tuesday or Wednesday. I didn't see her till Friday.
Ms. Beversdorf is getting fired up now, saying she's absolutely sure Daryl is Dakari's dad, and she's fed up with Mrs. James doubting it. But just when it feels like they're going in circles, here comes a jaw-dropping new reveal.
And so you have no doubt in your mind Mr.
I wouldn't be
Stevens
here
is
if I did.
Dakari's biological father.
Well, I do.
Not one doubt. Well, that's why we're here, because she does.
We surely are.
We didn't get to the third time.
And
when is
listen,
this
why didn't she get
I
a
asked
contact
her-
with you? Why didn't she write you? Why was it all me? So determined to get a DNA test.
Ask her when did we go to the Social Security office together.
Brace yourself. Mrs. James drops a bomb by admitting that Ms. Beversdorf and Dakari are actually living with her right now. But wait, things are about to get even more complicated as Mrs. James explains why she wants the DNA results.
She lives with me in my home.
She lives with you now? Whoa!
Temporarily.
Because by God's law.
It don't have nothing to do with that.
My son loves her and that baby. And if there was anything in this world that I could do.
All right, here it is, the life-changing answer everyone's been waiting for.
The percentage of relatedness between Mrs. Jacqueline James and Dakari is 99%. You are related.
Whoa, this is already bonkers. Ms. Chmielewski says she had a 5-year fling with Georgie, who sadly passed in a motorcycle accident, leaving behind their son Xavier. Get ready, this family mix-up is only just starting to heat up.
Ms. Chmielewski, you say you had a loving 5-year relationship with the defendant's son, Georgie, who unfortunately died in a motorcycle accident. You claim the defendants initially accepted your son, Xavier, but now need proof that they are Xavier's grandparents.
All right, buckle up. This story just keeps getting wilder. When Judge Lake asks about her connection to the defendants, Ms. Chmielewski says her son needs family because he already calls Georgie's mom Nana. Things are starting to get seriously tense, and you can feel the awkwardness in the room.
My son needs his family. He calls her Nana, and she's been in his life. We need answers. He has nobody.
Okay, let's keep it real, please.
Take me to the day you found out Georgie passed.
I was devastated, heartbroken, confused.
But why? I just making me understand one thing.
This part is totally eyebrow-raising. Mr. Long straight up says he doesn't believe this whole 5-year relationship thing and claims he's never even seen her at their house. Trust me, this story just keeps getting more tangled and confusing.
5-year relationship? Why don't I know about you? Never heard of her. I've never seen you at my house.
Did you ever ask
What a
Georgie
girlfriend.
why you haven't introduced me to your parents?
No, because we were just friends. It was like a sexual friendship that we had for.
So
I've
how
known
did
Georgie
you
for
find
5
out
years.
he was having a
girlfriend? I know his
Yeah, no
girlfriend.
matter who we were with, we still had sexual relations.
You think this can't get crazier? Think again. Mrs. Brown says that 2 years later, a friend told them Xavier might be Georgie's kid, so she finally decided to dig into it. The crowd is definitely on edge, wondering where this is all going next.
What had happened was she says that this baby's Georgie's. 2 years passed. The only reason why I pursued this is because a friend of Georgie's told him, you need to find out if this baby is Georgie. So it's other people in the neighborhood must be saying something because he came to me after 2 years. He brought this to my attention.
It's like a ping pong match of feelings at this point. Judge Lake asks why they waited so long to get a DNA test, and Ms. Chmielewski explains she and Georgie tried to do a home DNA test but couldn't afford it before he died. The stakes keep rising as everyone realizes how messy this could get.
Because you feel like they don't know?
To be George. She wants it to be Georgie.
He and Georgie was doing a home DNA test a couple months before he had passed, and we couldn't come up with the money. After, I think it was like 5 months, then he had passed away. So then that's when I went to the...
How old was Xavier when Georgie died?
He was 2 weeks before he turned 1.
Plot twist. Just when you thought things couldn't get more tangled, Ms. Chmielewski drops the bomb that there's one other possible father, a guy who was tragically eliminated when she was pregnant. Courtroom can hardly believe this new twist, and everyone's ready to see what's coming next.
It can't be.
So there's one other man besides Georgie.
No.
Did you ever tell the other guy?
He had passed away when I was 5 months pregnant. He had got murdered. A family member of mine had contacted his family. They did not respond. Xavier turned 2, and they said if I come up with the money, then they'll do the test.
It's heating up, and we're talking major drama now. Ms. Chmielewski says she tells Xavier that Georgie is his dad, showing him videos and calling him daddy. This is getting deep, and everyone's wondering what the DNA test will reveal.
Miss Chmielewski, when you talk to Xavier about his father, he's 2 now. Do you talk to him about his father? Who do you tell him his father is?
I tell him Georgie's. That he watches his videos, and I say, you know, that's daddy.
He calls him daddy.
Because either way, Georgie told me no matter what the results were when he was alive, that he was going to be in his life.
And now for the part that had everyone saying, wait, what? Mrs. Brown brings up this wild ghost video that Ms. Chmielewski showed her, where Georgie's spirit supposedly appears. You can feel everyone wondering, did she just try to prove paternity with a ghost?
Hey. What about the video?
The spirit video.
The video you showed me.
So now tell me about this video you mentioned.
This video is when me and my friends were sitting in the car.
She's trying to convince that there's a video with a spirit of Georgie in the video.
Because I feel like he is.
Is this the video? Hold on.
It's time to bring out the big guns. Judge Lake knows they're all waiting on the edge of their seats, so she reminds them they need this test for Xavier's future. This is the moment the whole room has been waiting for.
You understand, Miss Chmielewski, even if out of the kindness of her heart, even out of her grief, she says, just have the baby call me Nana. And the real truth is you don't know for certain. I have the results, and we can all find out for certain right now.
Boom, here comes the jaw dropper that leaves everyone in shock.
The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Brown and Mr. Long and Xavier Chmielewski is 0%.
Get ready, because this starts off intense and only gets wilder. We're barely a minute in, and already both sides look like they're about to throw down, and it's only getting started.
Miss Cameron, you tragically lost the love of your life 3 years ago and find yourself standing before me fighting to prove that he is your child's biological father. Furthermore, you claim you desperately need to determine paternity so that you can file for the death benefits to support your family.
Talk about family drama. Ms. Melvin goes into how her whole family is totally freaked out and upset by what Ms. Cameron's doing. With emotions running high, it looks like this family feud is only going to heat up from here.
I'm speaking for myself as well as my family. Disturbed us all. My mom would have liked to be here today as well, but very distraught. She just couldn't face it to come. Just the whole situation of losing my brother as well. We lost him, and just the whole situation of her getting pregnant, it just doesn't add up.
You don't think this child is his?
I don't think it's his.
And now we're hitting scandal territory. It's a major bombshell, and you can feel the drama rising, especially as Ms. Cameron tries to keep her cool with Ms. Melvin's doubts piling up.
During this time, your brother's in a relationship with Ms. Cameron. You know about her, right?
Correct.
And so you still feel like she's trying to get something that isn't entitled to her?
Well, there's a couple things. He had came to me, it was a month, and I work an urgent care, and I see a lot of stuff, so he told me. I said, are you sure he was like, man, I haven't done anything. I loved her.
This is one of the saddest and most intense parts so far. The whole courtroom feels the weight weight of her loss. But as sad as it is, the big paternity question is still hanging in the air, making everyone wait for more.
Miss Cameron, you said he passed away when you were 12 weeks pregnant.
Yes, and we did not know the sex of the child.
Had you told anyone?
Yes, I told my best friend April, I told my mother, and I told my father. I don't know who he told, but I know that's the 3 people I told. Said wait for a couple days to make sure because it was a home pregnancy test that we took.
Just when we thought it couldn't get more complicated, here comes the timeline drama. With dates that don't seem to match up, Ms. Cameron is in for more challenges as they try to piece together what really happened.
After, so she's pregnant, I was taking her to her appointments. And I brought calendar to show you some things from when we went to the appointment on June 28th. So from June 28th, with her due date of her supposed to be getting pregnant, this would have been when she got pregnant. And my brother was not even around because me going to an appointment with her and
you
getting
went to the doctor with her on June 28th.
Yes.
And the doctor said she's 6 months pregnant.
Yes.
Things take a wild twist with this sign from beyond moment. It's a surprising, heartfelt moment, but Ms. Melvin isn't impressed, and it's clear she's still ready to throw down with more skepticism.
I have an ultrasound picture right here. I know this might sound crazy, but I posted it on Facebook. Okay, this is his face, like we're looking at each other. If you look in the eye, that is Jackie. Look at that bald-headed, and look at the bald-headed in the eyeball. And actually, there's another face right here that looks how fat Jackie's face was.
Cue another shocker, the mom's statement. Ms. Melvin brings in a signed note from her mom claiming she saw Ms. Cameron sneaking into a car with another guy before she got pregnant. With family members coming out with more accusations, the paternity mystery is only getting more tangled.
There was a time which I have a signed statement from my mom because they live next door to each other, like creeping around the corner to get to a car which was with another man.
I was in love with Jackie. I would have never cheated on Jackie.
And it says, I am testifying that I do not believe Malachi Rathard is my grandson because I know Miss Cameron cheated on my son shortly before she got pregnant.
The twists keep coming as Ms. Cameron's best friend steps up to defend her. But Ms. Melvin's not convinced, and the whole courtroom is on edge, waiting for those DNA results.
That Miss Cameron was cheating with this other guy.
No, Miss Melvin, she was not cheating. This is my best friend. It's been my best friend for 16 years. Date did occur. She came to me and she told me because she felt so guilty about it. Hung out, talked, went to the movies.
But how do you really know she didn't have sex?
I can only go off what my best friend has told me, and she's never, that to my knowledge, has lied to me before.
Here comes the moment of truth, and everyone is holding their breath.
It has been determined by this court. Miss Duhamel is related to Malachi Rathard.
Thank you! Now, do you believe me? I was being honest with you.
All right, buckle up because Ms. Kyles is bringing the drama right away. And just wait, because Ms. Light's about to drop some major accusations.
Miss Kyles, you have opened your case to prove to the defendant that her deceased son, James, is your 14-month-old daughter, Ava's biological father. You state that you know the defendant is in pain due to the loss of her son, but so are you.
Ms. Light comes in swinging, calling Ms. Kyles a liar and saying she can't trust her one bit on this whole James is the dad story. And get ready, because what she says next will hit you right in the feels.
Ms. Light, you say Ms. Kyles is a pathological liar, and you claim that as much as you would love for a piece of your son to be here, you don't trust that baby Ava belongs to him.
Oh man, tissues out. Judge Lake asks Ms. Light if she loves Ava, and she breaks down, calling Ava her heart. Next up, she'll explain why she's so suspicious.
Ava's 14 months old.
Correct.
Have you formed a bond with her?
Yes, that's my heart. My son was raising her. If she wasn't with my son, she was with me. But
the doubt is still eating away at you.
It's killing me. It was just a lot going on.
Get ready for some soap opera levels. Ms. Light recalls a time when James called to connect with Ava, but some random dude picked up and said he was Ava's dad. And as these two moms keep going, the room's about to get even more heated.
He came to me so many times, hurt after he moved her to Oklahoma and got everything furnished. Another man answered the phone and tried to claim to be Ava's father and be in her life now and all this other stuff.
That's a lie. So another man answered the phone and told your son Ava's father, and I'm in her life now.
Things are messy as Ms. Kyles talks about drama. over who could come into her house, a big point of tension when she and James were still together. And believe me, the room's about to get real heavy with the next part of her story.
You were having relationship issues in terms of boundaries. Take me to the point at which Ava was born. Was Mr. Miller with you at the hospital?
No, it was just me and my 2-year-old daughter.
Did you call him to say baby's being born?
No,
he would have been there. That's something he would have never wanted to miss.
And this next part's like something straight out of an action movie. Ms. Light describes how James got shot while Ava was in the car, and somehow, miraculously, a bullet missed Ava by just inches. And Judge Lake, she's about to dig into the real deal with James's fatherhood.
All I know is something happened, some girls arguing, and another guy came and shot my son. And the girl tells me that all she could do was pull him into the car and drive off. And they kept shooting, so I know it was God, but I don't know what stopped the bullet hole from hitting my grandbaby other than God. Because it was a bullet hole that either the door or her car seat stopped it from hitting her.
Now, it's time for some heartfelt family talk. Ms. Light says her family took in Ava like she was totally one of their own, and you won't believe what she suspects next.
And so your son was raising her. He was her dad. She was in the car with your son.
Yes, just came and got her from me.
So you all were raising this baby. Like, this is your biological grandchild, this is your son's child, and he had her name tattooed on his face.
Ava.
Did he ever tell you that her legal name was Skylar?
No.
Ms. Light is practically crying as she talks about how James would buy all of Ava's essentials, even asking his mom to do her hair for special events because he was so proud. But wait till you hear what she says next. It's a plot twist.
He did everything for his baby. Cash, milk, everything for that baby, everything. For Memorial Day, he asked me, he brought her clothes and stuff over there. Mama, can you do her hair in a couple of ponytails? Because he didn't allow nobody to touch her hair. Couldn't touch them curls. And she hung out with Grandma. She was with me.
All right, here's where things get weird. Judge Lake asks about another guy who Ms. Light says looks kinda like James, and apparently this dude was seen with Ava. And let's just say, things are about to get even more intense.
And you believe she has a different name because another man is her biological father?
Yeah, I think it's possible. The situation where she said it never happened, where some man answered the phone, some tatted over his eyes.
And so you felt like the guy looked similar to your son?
Somewhat, not as handsome, but...
Emotions are sky high as Ms. Light explains she's trying to confirm Ava's paternity to honor her late son and make sure Ava gets the family name. Hold tight, the DNA results are about to hit.
She didn't have to get that baby away because that baby would have been and is well taken care of. I just want that to be my grandbaby so we can do the right thing and get her name what it's supposed to be, Ava Jashay Miller. And that meant so much to my son, and that's why I know it, because I lost a daughter and her name Ashaya.
Judge Lake gives Ms. Kiles a final chance to share anything new, but she's cool and calm, saying she's already told her truth. What's coming next could change everything.
Ms. Kiles, I'm about to go to the results. Before I do, I just want to make sure that there is not any other piece of testimony that you've left out that you would like to share or you feel like you need to share.
No, Your Honor. I said my truth.
I think it's time we get the results. Jerome?
Here it is, the moment everyone's been waiting for.
It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Light and Skylar Ava is 99%. You are related.
You wouldn't believe this one, folks. It's like a soap opera right from the start. The audience is locked in, and you know things are about to get messy with both sides ready to rumble.
Ms. Mayo, you're here today because you filed a paternity suit against Mr. Brown, who you claim is your 2-month-old fraternal twins, Chloe and Carter's biological fathers. You say when today's results prove your case, you want him to pay you $1,000 for half of the child rearing expenses.
Yes, Your Honor.
This backstory is bonkers. How did they get here? Mr. Brown says he hasn't paid a single dime because he doesn't think he's the dad, claiming she trapped him, whatever that means. This was no ordinary friendship, and with every new detail, it just gets crazier.
Mr. Brown, is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why is that?
Because I don't believe they my children.
I don't know why you feel like that, and you know they're yours.
For one, I feel like she trapped me.
I never trapped. How did I trap him? I didn't want to have no child with you. So I wish I would have never got pregnant.
Why was you messing with me from the beginning? Why was you messing with me from the beginning?
Because at first we was friends. Why you putting on the show? Before any of this happened, we was friends.
Here's where the story goes off the rails a little more. This is truly some high-level drama. Judge Lake's eyebrows raise as these two argue over who said what. If you thought things were tense before, Just wait.
We had a talk. I told her to go get on birth control.
You never told me that.
Okay, we going from the birth control. One day, I'm at her house, we just kicking it, you know what I mean? That she can't have no children. Her last child was never supposed to be here. How the doctor told her that she would never have children again. When she presented me with all this, I feel like I'm safety net. I got a safety zone, like, okay, she can't have children.
Now it's time for Mr. Brown's very interesting reasons why he thinks he's not the dad. Judge Lake gives him a side eye as he tries to explain his eyebrow suspicions.
So what is your doubt?
They don't look like me, for one. I got very distinct features.
Everybody in America knows that when newborns are born, they don't look like no one.
Wonder what this is.
As you can see, I got very thick eyebrows. This is a distinct feature
They
of
was
me.
just born. Look at
Okay.
Chloe's eyebrows. Look
This
at
me.
Chloe right now.
This me. Thick eyebrows. This them.
This is getting good. This part is both sad and awkward because Mr. Brown doesn't even know that one of the twins, Chloe, was born deaf. This whole scene is intense, and it really feels like Judge Lake is about to give him a serious talking to.
He don't even know what's going on with Chloe. Chloe was born deaf. He don't know that. He don't know nothing. My child can't hear. Man, you can at least be there. I'm here with them 24/7 by myself. My child is deaf. Can't hear nothing at all. And you ain't doing nothing. When you find out today, what, like, are you gonna help do this? I gotta take sign language class. Do you know, like, man, you don't know. You don't understand what I go through.
Get ready to feel broke just listening to this part. It's all about the bills. The price tag makes everyone stop for a second, and you can see Mr. Brown start to sweat as it's starting to feel very real.
Okay, that's my expenses, like from their car seats, they strollers, clothes, bills, everything.
And you've been doing this by yourself?
Yes, ma'am. There's formula. They both on different milk.
So we've got clothes, baby needs, milk, toiletry, totaling $2,000, which is why you're suing Mr. Brown for $1,000 because he would be responsible for half if he's in fact the biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
It's the big reveal, folks, and everyone is on the edge of their seats. Seriously, it's intense.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Brown, you are the father.
Oh, buckle up, because this case starts with fireworks and finger pointing from the get-go. Meet Ms. Everyone in the courtroom is watching, wide-eyed, as this emotional train pulls out of the station.
Ms. Sherman, you claim the defendant is taking advantage of your grieving aunt emotionally and financially by claiming your deceased brother is her child's father. You need today's results because you won't allow your aunt to support a child who is not your brother's.
Plot twist alert. Ms. Costello stands up, and she's not here for Ms. Sherman's accusations. With every word, you can feel the plot thickening like gravy at Thanksgiving.
My aunt threw Marissa a baby shower, supports this baby financially, as in buying his diapers, his clothes. If he has a doctor's appointment, she is there, and that's not right if she doesn't know the baby is his.
Your Honor, that's his family.
We don't
Erica
know
was
that.
there with me at the hospital.
We don't know if
when
he
I
is.
had the baby, and when Ryan was born, she saw the crown of his head and said he is a Sherman.
Now, Ms. Sherman's aunt is on the stand, and oh boy, she's letting her emotions pour out. Meanwhile, Ms. Sherman's skepticism is about to hit a serious test.
When I seen the crown of that baby's head, I'm like, and I just started crying. I said, that's my baby. It don't replace him, but having him in my life, it helps me deal with him not being here. I need him to be Ryan's, because I can't say what will happen if it comes back that he's not, because that baby means so much to me.
Ms. Sherman's doubt is no joke. It's like she's building a wall, one doubt at a time, while the room waits to see who will break first.
For one, Your Honor, my brother told me that he doubted the baby because he wasn't for sure if Marissa was actually pregnant, and then he wasn't for sure if the baby was his. I'm not saying even that this is not my brother's baby. I love him, but I'm not finna get attached to a baby if I don't know, because I can't do that for me. I can't sit here and be like, that's a part of my brother, and then it end up not. But when we were in college, Your Honor, they were both unfaithful.
If you thought things were messy before, wait until you hear about Ms. Costello's love life with Ryan. It's a tangled web of love, hurt, and mistrust, and every detail adds another puzzle piece that makes everyone squint just a little harder at this story.
I found out I was pregnant in the middle of March. At that point in time, I contacted Ryan and I told him, hey, I think I'm pregnant. And at that point in time, he was like, well, is this my kid? It was a slap in the face because I know he had room for doubt, because when we broke up in the beginning of January, I started to talk to somebody else. He started to talk to somebody else. After me and the other guy had intercourse with each other.
Tensions are sky high as Ms. Sherman gets feisty with Ms. Costello over her dating history. It's a ping pong of accusations until Judge Lake steps in with a cool it, ladies, and shifts the focus back to the facts.
You just said you were sleeping with somebody else.
I know, but at the same time, I knew for the fact Ryan was the very
saint.
last person that I slept with.
I never said Ryan was a saint. Y'all was both sleeping with other people. How you got no doubt if you were sleeping with somebody else the next week?
You look at my son and you look at Ryan Jr., resemblance. When you look at Ryan Jr.'s baby pictures and you look at my son,
He doesn't look like my brother.
With emotions in the danger zone, Judge Lake takes the reins. This calculator just added a whole new layer of maybe to the mix. The tension is now so thick, you could spread it on toast.
So the best way to figure this out to go to my conception calculator.
baby Ryan's birthday is October 27th, 2017.
I put that birth date in, October 27, 2017, and press calculate. Calculates the window of conception as February 1st to February 5th, and the date of intercourse between January 29th and February 5th.
If you were hoping things would calm down, nope. Ms. Sherman and Ms. Costello are practically nose to nose, clashing over who has the right to claim this child. But let's be real, the emotions are on full display, and everyone in the room can feel it.
Like I said, I do not just say this is my nephew. If you go on my Facebook, his pictures are everywhere. That's not it. I'm not just saying that this is not my brother's baby. I want to make sure. You see how my aunt is looking? How she is crying? My whole family is like this. Because if I have doubts that is my brother baby, I still want to be there.
Now, it's Ms. Sherman's aunt's time to shine, and she drops a little bombshell of her own. With every word, her belief in this bond grows stronger, and the drama in the room only deepens.
After my nephew died, and she was honest with me because she know me. I don't pick sides, and baby girl just tell me the truth. I know exactly when she said she had sex with Ryan. Then she told me she had sex with Ryan. She had sex with the boy at the beginning of January. Used her was she had a period in January, but didn't have a period in February. So she was confused.
Ms. Sherman is now wrestling with the possibility that her brother may not be this child's father. It's a gut-wrenching moment, and her raw emotions are setting the stage for what's coming. And now, the big moment.
Unfortunately, Ryan passed away before baby Ryan was born.
Yes.
Have you even considered that if this baby is not your biological family member, what will you do?
Honestly, I don't know. I have a bond with that baby.
The DNA test results are in, and bam!
It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Nalencia Sherman and Ryan Costello Sherman is 97.8%. You are related.
Yes!
After she got pregnant, a letter she sent them.
Wait a minute.
I sent the guy a letter telling him that I was pregnant, letting him know what was going on.
This is exactly why young people don't have no business making babies. You can't even tell the story to make no sense.
He was telling people I was just getting fat. He was like, she just eats a lot of fast food. Everybody was rubbing, my friends were rubbing my stomach. I'm showing ultrasounds to people. He's like, don't believe her, she's just fat. I'm going into labor. He's like, no, you're not.
What kind of denial is this? Mr. Lee, you taking denial too far.
Exactly.
Things kick off with some serious drama right from the start. Both sides are revved up and ready for a showdown, and you can just tell it's about to get messy.
Mr. Portis, you and your mother have petitioned the court for a DNA test because you are certain you are not the father of the defendant's daughter, Ava. Say your life has been ruined and need today's paternity results to set the record straight.
Here's where it gets even weirder with court dates and missed tests all over the place. Judge Lake breaks it down, letting them know that by not showing up, he automatically became the dad. Talk about drama.
This started about 2 years ago. I started paying child support, $75 for this baby, and I never knew if she was mine or not. We never took a DNA test.
You paying child support for this baby?
Yes. Thousands of dollars.
But you say you've never had a DNA test.
No.
And that's because you had a court date.
And he missed. He missed the court date.
So you were named
and
the father by default.
Yeah.
Yep. This is when the tea gets spilled and everyone starts pointing fingers about secret relationships. You can feel the trust issues growing, and we're just getting started.
We started talking first and then eventually started dating. It happened fast.
At what point did you find out you were pregnant?
A few months later.
But when she got pregnant, we stopped talking. So like, after the fact that she got pregnant, she had hit me up and was like, hey, I'm pregnant.
We were definitely together. I called you after I got the text.
No, we weren't, because I found out that she had another boyfriend.
Okay.
Oh boy, now there's a mystery letter to her ex. Mr. Portis says Ms. Middlebrooks sent a letter to her ex telling him she was pregnant, which makes the timeline even messier. With all this back and forth, we're on the edge of our seats, waiting to see where it leads next.
How did you know that?
Because of, after she got pregnant, a letter she sent them.
Wait a minute.
I sent the guy a letter telling him that I was pregnant, letting him know what was going on.
This is exactly why young people don't have no business making babies. You can't even tell the story to make no sense.
Things get intense as Mr. Portis talks about not being there for the birth, and there's a lot of he said, she said going on. Judge Lake tells him he has to be responsible if he's the father. And boy, you can feel the tension building.
Were you at the birth, Mr. Portis?
No, I was not, Your Honor.
He had the opportunity to, but he wanted nothing to do with her.
Did you go to doctor's appointment?
No. He had nothing to do with the pregnancy.
She wasn't communicating with my family at all. Every time she would talk to us, she would be disrespectful.
Or any of that. She was not even talking to my son.
That's the only time she would talk to us.
Who was with you at the birth?
My ex was. He stepped up.
Now comes a plot twist. The ex was there the whole time. Ms. Middlebrooks explains her ex was super supportive and was there for Ava's birth, pretty much stepping into the dad role. It's only heating up, and we're not sure who's gonna end up stepping up here.
Oh, wait.
But she was messing with the ex, though.
Yes. When I had her, yes, he was there.
So he was away, and then by the time you had the baby, he was home.
Yes.
But you gave
And you
my son
say he
opportunity.
stepped up.
Yes.
What?
Son wanted nothing to do
was
with me or
holding
the
her
pregnancy.
and all that.
You do not know. You're not your son. I'm not
in your
communicating with
business,
you.
but
I'm
I'm
communicating
his
with your
mom.
son.
I'm his mom, though.
You not being truthful.
The family feud kicks into high gear, with both sides going back and forth. You can tell everyone's wound up, and we're all wondering if they'll be able to hold it together.
Middlebrooks,
Disrespectful.
I realize that you may not agree with Miss Trent, but you have to understand that when you are dealing with someone who's your elder, right or wrong, just keep your mouth shut.
That doesn't give her.
Hold on. I am going to be very clear.
Just when you think it can't get wilder, here comes the ex, calling Mr. Portis. With every twist, this case just keeps getting deeper.
Her ex that she was dealing with had contacted me on Facebook.
Okay. And what did he say?
He was basically saying like, yo, Bryant, Jasmine, does she have you on child support and stuff like that? And I'm like, yeah, she does. She's been having me on child support. He was like, well, that's crazy because I'm taking care of her too. So it's just like an imbalance here.
The courtroom is hit with a surprise as Ms. Middlebrooks admits she wasn't sure about the paternity herself. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife, and you can tell we're close to the big reveal.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Portis, you are the father.
Buckle up, because Ms. Shands kicks things off by saying she just has to prove Mr. Hollis is her baby's dad. But wait, you won't believe Mr. Hollis's response coming up next.
Miss Shands, you appear in court today because you are devastated that your first love and the person you lost your virginity to is now denying your 15-month-old son, Aiden. You say once you prove to the defendant that he is the father, you hope you two can finally be a family.
And here's where it gets real messy. Mr. Hollis and his mom say Ms. Shands is a pathological liar and that they already know who the real dad is. It's like a soap opera, but hold on, it's about to get even juicier.
Mr. Hollis, you are here with your mother and you both testify that Ms. Shands is a pathological liar and you both don't believe you fathered her son, but claim to know who did.
Just when you think things can't get wilder, Ms. Shands admits she had a fling with one of Mr. Hollis's friends, which led to a whole mess in their friend group. The audience is gasping, and Judge Lake is just shaking her head. And trust me, there's more to this.
Me and his was close friends once before.
But
she used to come back and tell me that Mr. Amir, he was messing with one of my friends. We both were young at the time. So,
both y'all young now?
Yeah, we still are young. But I thought it was cool to go mess with one of his friends because he had slept with one of mine. We both had made a mistake.
No. Brace yourself for this one. Judge Lake asks Ms. Shands if she used protection with Mr. Hollis's friend. And Ms. Shands says, nope, not at all. And yep, there's still a lot more to spill.
You have revenge sex with one of his friends. And did you use protection?
No.
And then how many times did you have sex with this friend of his?
Multiple times.
But were you also still being intimate with Mr. Hollis?
We had broke up. When me and his friend had an affair, we wasn't together. We was not together at all.
An affair.
And then it gets even trickier as Ms. Shire's about finding out she was pregnant and how she first told Mr. Hollis's friend, not Mr. Hollis. The lack of communication just adds to the mistrust. But trust me, the surprises aren't over yet.
So you find out you're 5 months pregnant. What happens? Who do you tell?
Well, first I told his friend, because that's the person I was going with at the time. We ended up going out.
When she was going with my friend, she was still sneaking around with me anyway because I felt like he did it to me, so y'all together, I'm finna go and do what I gotta do.
Yeah.
Things get awkwardly dramatic here. Only Mr. Hollis's friend was at the birth, and Mr. Hollis didn't even know she was having the baby. The misunderstandings keep stacking up, but believe me, this story's got even more layers.
When you give birth, who was with you?
The friend was with me when Aiden was born, in the hospital, in labor.
Sent my mom there because I knew there was a possibility that my son could be the dad as well.
He favored my son when he was born.
I wasn't never invited. Like, anything I ever found out about the baby, I found out by myself. Like, I ain't even know she was in labor. I had to find that out.
And now it's gone public. Ms. Shan says she was hurt when Mr. Hollis wrote a song that accuses her of cheating, and the song went viral. As if that's not enough drama, more about their beef is about to hit the fan.
Like, when I heard the song at first, especially the first song, I forgot how it started, but he put my name in it, the friend name in it, but he erased it and changed it to a whole different, and then he came out with the
And we have some of the lyrics to that song. And I can't be cuffing Columbus hoe. About a year ago, I was in love with a thought.
Ms. Shands talks about how Iden seems to have a real connection with Mr. Hollis, not the friend, and you can see Mr. Hollis's face soften as he talks about bonding with the baby. But wait, you'll want to hear what happens when they get the DNA results.
But every time he be with the other guy, he don't really be stunning him. He never showed the attention that he showed to Amir that he shows to the other guy.
And Miss Hollis, you say you tried to back off, but I see in this picture, you got the grandma face all over.
Finally, the DNA test results are in, and surprise.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Hollis, you are not the father.
From the start, you can tell this is about to be wild. Ms. Brewington steps up, saying Mr. Lee is definitely her son Giovanni's dad, and is dodging paternity just to skip out on child support. This is just the beginning, and things are about to get way more heated.
Ms. Brewington, you are here to prove your 3-year-old son Giovanni is Mr. Lee's biological child, and you claim Mr. Lee has been a father to your son since the day he was born and is denying paternity because he wants to avoid paying child support.
Ms. Brewington is 1,000% sure that Mr. Lee is the dad. No doubts, no questions. She didn't expect any drama when she got pregnant, but Mr. Lee's got a different story, and he's about to let it fly.
So, Ms. Brewington, you claim you are 100% certain that Mr. Lee is the father.
I am without a doubt 100% certain that he is my son's father. Not only was I only sleeping with him, we were actually working on our relationship. So when I found out I was pregnant, I didn't think it was going to be a shock or a surprise or anything like that.
You won't believe this level of denial. Mr. Lee says they weren't even cool like that when Giovanni was conceived. Judge Lake looks at him like, really? In the same bed, same house, but nothing happened? But Brewington isn't buying his story, and she's ready to prove him wrong.
At the time that Gio was conceived, we were not having no type of intercourse. We were not cool at the moment.
Your Honor, I was living with him. We were living in the same household, in the same bed.
Were you living in the same house?
Around the time, yes.
But you weren't together?
Exactly.
So were you sharing a bed?
Yes, ma'am.
And fluid.
No.
Clearly.
This moment is hilarious because Ms. Brewington finds out she's pregnant totally by accident. But if you think he's about to believe her now, you're wrong.
Okay, I found out that I was pregnant. I actually went to the doctor to just re-up on my birth control. I didn't even realize that they said that they had to do a pregnancy test before they could go ahead with the birth control. So I went ahead, they did a pregnancy test. I told him, he did not believe me at all. He went out and got 3 pregnancy tests, made me take all of them. They were all positive. And he was like, well, that's not my baby.
The way they argue over the dates is just too much. She's fed up with his cluelessness, but Mr. Lee is standing his ground like, no way, not my kid. And you can tell this argument isn't ending here.
So you seem so certain, Mr. Lee.
I do, because I'm gonna explain it to you, Your Honor. How she said her birthday is the 2nd of February.
It's not.
Her birthday's on the 2nd of February.
My birthday's on the 1st of February. My birthday is on the, how you gonna tell me what day I was born? I was born on the 1st of February.
He said it's 2nd.
Yeah, look, it's close.
It gets even crazier. Ms. Brewington says Mr. Lee wouldn't believe she was pregnant and told everyone she was just getting chubby. But of course, Mr. Lee has another excuse up his sleeve.
He was telling people I was just getting fat. He was like, she just eats a lot of fast food. Everybody was rubbing, my friends were rubbing my stomach. I'm showing ultrasounds to people. He's like, don't believe her, she's just fat. I'm going into labor. He's like, no, you're not.
What kind of denial is this? Mr. Lee, you taking denial too far.
Exactly.
Just when you think he's out of reasons, here comes Mr. Lee acting interested the second he finds out it's a boy. But trust me, his next excuse is even wilder.
As soon as he found out that my son was a boy, he's like, oh, that's my boy. I love him. That's my son. I need to be there.
Was Mr. Lee there?
He came after I had given birth because he had work. But he showed right up. He actually didn't even, they asked about the birth certificate and everything. He signed the birth certificate. certificate. He named my son. Like, no, I'm not letting you give my son no dumb name.
This next part takes a real twist when Mr. Lee says Ms. Brewington's friend told him she knew the real dad, which got him doubting even more. At this point, this story couldn't get any messier, or could it?
One of her friends, a good friend of her, actually told me that I wasn't the father. She told me that she knows who's the father.
I told him that because she wanted to sleep with him.
I'm still talking.
I actually caught them sleeping together.
What?
This is the part where Ms. Brewington tries to prove things by showing baby pictures to compare Mr. Lee and Giovanni. But everyone's just waiting to see if the DNA will tell the real story.
So you're saying this is a picture of Giovanni on the left, and this is Mr. Lee as a child on the right?
Yes.
And you say you see a definite resemblance
between them two, yes.
They're light skinned.
You really don't believe he's yours now that he's here in the world?
No. I don't really see too much of me. Maybe, yeah, like I said, we got curls, but...
It's nuts to see Mr. Lee admit he's been around as Giovanni's dad, paying child support, all while saying the kid isn't his. The DNA test results are about to bring everything out into the open.
You're obviously responsible as it relates to child support because you signed the birth certificate.
I'm always there. I've never not been there. So he calls me daddy.
Calls you daddy.
Yes. Yes.
With all of that,
yes,
you still don't believe he's your biological son?
No.
Your Honor, that is his baby. And I can't wait, because the devil is a liar and this is Lucifer, so stop. No.
Well, you might be the devil then.
This is the big shocker.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lee, you are not the father.
Told y'all.
Hold up.
I already knew. I told you.
Here we go. Buckle up because this case is wild from the get-go. This intro sets up what's about to be a bumpy ride, so stay tuned.
Ms. Hooker, you are here with your mother because you say the defendant's son, Mr. Abraham, fathered your 10-month-old daughter, Kanaya. You say that Ms. Baker and her family's denial of this child has caused you pain, and you are here for an apology and to prove her son is the father.
Oh boy, here come the doubts, and Ms. Baker is not holding back. And trust me, things are only heating up from here.
Ms. Baker, you and your daughter are here today to represent your son, Mr. Abraham, because tragically, he was killed 3 months after the birth of this child. You say that before his death, your son expressed great doubt that he was the father of Ms. Hooker's baby, and you are here to put the lies to rest.
Ms. Hooker's got feelings, and she is laying them all out for the court. She also points out that her baby looks just like Keyshawn, so what's the issue? Emotions are running high, and you can bet there's more drama on the way.
I'm just sad sometimes. I try to deal with it now. Like, I really don't care no more. Like, that's how I feel. I don't care anymore. I don't care who feel nothing about my baby. I don't care. It just seemed like everybody else was looking upside my head like I'm an animal. Like, every time I'm sitting down doing something, they looking at me like I'm just outcast of the group. She looked like me, so why is a problem? That's why I just say I don't care about nothing.
This is where things get real serious, and honestly, a little sad. But don't get too comfortable because we're diving right back into the mess.
My son was on vacation, and we kept hearing that Denia was pregnant, but then when we finally found out for sure, he told me, he said he wasn't the only boy that had messed with Denia. And he made me promise that we was gonna get a blood test, and things didn't go the way we thought they were gonna go.
And get ready for Miss Hooker's turn to clap back at those rumors. Just when you think it might calm down, the tension spikes again.
You know, 'cause that's why it's funny, because how can somebody tell me who I was sleeping with? Nobody in the room was in the room with me when I was sleeping with somebody.
Keyshawn only denied the baby when him and my daughter was arguing. Other than that, I have pictures with him laying on her, getting mad at what he tell his mother or nothing like that. He held the baby, kissed the baby, and loved the baby. We just need to get the results from Miss Carolyn.
Ms. Baker wants to clear her name, but you can still feel the tension brewing. But it doesn't look like the back and forth is ending anytime soon.
I'm not trying to do anything against anybody to make her feel bad. I ain't never been denying them. We never had a problem. She come stay the night when she feel like it, her and the baby. Everything. They was just with me at my birthday dinner. Even though my son telling me I have never did or said anything to make her feel no bad.
Now we're talking about an obituary feud. Yep, you read that right. It's a serious hit to their relationship, and the room just gets tenser.
One of my family members was in the obituary, but my baby one. Y'all can keep my family member out the obituary.
Okay, she said one of her family members was in the obituary.
But there was no mention of Kanaya. Was this intentional, Miss Baker, Miss Bland? Was this something that...
Like this, Judge. She went and finished up without me. Kanaya did get left out. So did my grandmother, and so did one of my sisters.
All right, here it is, the big DNA reveal we've all been waiting for, and it's a bombshell.
It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Baker, Mr. Abraham, and Kanaya Abraham is 0%.
And this is why right here.
Miss Baker, are you all right?
Right from the jump, things are totally bonkers. This little detail throws everyone for a loop and gets Judge Lake and the whole audience sucked in. And trust me, it's about to get a whole lot weirder.
2 brothers could be the father. 2 brothers with the same name could be the biological father. This is a lot.
It is.
It really is.
When he came to me and he told me that he was my dad, I went to family members and I asked them, did you know that there was a possibility? They've all told me they believe Steve is my dad.
This next part cranks up the weight. What? Factor big time. But buckle up because his next proof is next level.
But Michael Shockley, you still believe you are Desiree's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor. She's always been my little girl, so she'll never not be my little girl. But like, I have all girls and he's got all boys. All boys and one girl. That's it.
Okay, now Michael tries to back up his claim with a family chart. Just when we think it's all laughs, though, Michael's daughter steps in to give her 2 cents.
You submitted a chart.
You like my chart?
So, Mike, you say you have all girls.
Yes, ma'am.
3 girls and Desiree's right there in the middle.
Yep.
Steve, you have all boys.
Yes, Your Honor.
5 boys.
And 1 daughter.
He's serious about that 1 daughter.
And here comes Crystal, Michael's daughter, adding even more emotion to this family mix-up. Just when you think it's all family love, things take a sharp emotional turn.
Question, have you ever had any doubt in
No,
your
ma'am.
mind? Your whole life growing up, you knew Desiree to be your sister.
Yes, our whole life we fought as kids over who was more of a daddy's girl. She'd be like, oh, you're mama's girl. No, I'm daddy's girl. And you know, we went back and forth. We grew up with him. He's on our birth certificates. He's got our names tattooed on his neck.
Crystal doesn't hold back and drops a hard question. Why did Steve wait 2 whole decades to say anything? Her question definitely stirs things up, and it's Desiree's turn to let out her feelings next.
So to me, with this going on, I've always questioned why did he never come forward before? Why wait all this time? It doesn't make sense. Why would you wait 20 years to come up and say something? Why? That hurt us more than anything. If you were, why did you wait?
But why are you blaming me? I mean, like I said a while ago, I would have told her years ago if they hadn't kept her from me.
Desiree's story about how this mess affects her whole family is truly tough. And boy, the next part is about to make this even sadder.
And now you have to live with the fact that you don't know that.
We've never been really close. That was the way that we were close. It was the connection that we had. You know, we could always say that our Bubba, yeah, he's our Bubba, but we're closer. We have that bigger connection because we do share the same mother and the same father. So I feel like in a way it kind of broke a connection that we had.
Judge Lake is here with her wise, comforting words to help Desiree through this emotional ride. But just wait until science gets pulled into this family drama.
It's heartbreaking to the point that I feel like I've been lied to my entire life. I've been like my entire first 20 years as far as who my dad is has been one big lie.
Who do you call dad?
Steve.
Oh, you do?
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you believe is your biological father?
In my heart, I feel like Steve is.
Out of nowhere, Judge Lake brings in Dr. Baird, a DNA expert, to explain the who's the dad science. Now, everyone's holding their breath as they get closer to the big reveal.
Difficult thing to do genetically to sort out which of the 2 is the true biological father. However, what we do at DNA Diagnostic Center in order to exclude one of the 2 individuals. And in this particular case, that's exactly what we did. We tested almost twice the number of samples of DNA that we normally test in order to exclude absolutely one of the 2 individuals.
Even with the stakes this high, Desiree tries to keep things hopeful by saying she wants both brothers in her life. But just as things start feeling cozy, her mom jumps in with a tearful confession.
Regardless of whichever it turns out is my dad, I still want a relationship with both of them. Just one is my uncle, one is my dad.
And you deserve that.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Shockley, Steve Shockley, if the results show you are not her biological father, will you regret ever mentioning this to her?
No, Your Honor.
Desiree's mom, Ms. Grove, comes in with a teary apology that makes everything feel 10 times more emotional. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for is finally here.
I can't explain it. I wouldn't like to be her dad because they've always had such a strong bond. You know, her growing up, you know, I can't change the past. I'm sorry for a lot of things, but in my heart, I feel like Mike is her dad. I just want Desiree to get the answers that she needs.
I'm glad, because I want you to get the answers you need.
Everyone holds their breath as Judge Lake reveals the DNA results, and the room is totally silent.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Steve Shockley.
Yes!
Baby. This one's a doozy as Ms. Hines spills the beans on their Christmas Eve hangout. But buckle up because this back and forth gets even juicier.
Christmas Eve, we had sex in the car. After that, I told him that I was pregnant.
He basically said that he gave me a Christmas gift because he didn't give me anything for Christmas.
More than likely, I always be with my family on Christmas because we have like
This is
traditions.
Christmas Eve and not Christmas. We agreed to be with our family on Christmas.
Things get even crazier when Mr. Jackson claims Ms. Hines was shacking up with another dude. The story's already wild, but wait, Mr. Jackson's about to accuse her of even more sneaky stuff.
I'm disagreeing on both behalves because she was living with another male, so it's kind of like hard to like judge her because like.
So while you all were in this relationship or just having sex in the car,
Yeah.
she was in a relationship with somebody else.
Yeah, it was a relationship. She had another male living with her.
Mr. Jackson doesn't hold back, saying he snooped around her place and found a box of condoms. Just when you think that's the end of it, Mr. Jackson has even more to say about her behavior.
And it was a time that like I was snooping around the house and because she had said it was taking some stuff to store it. I seen a box and in that box it was some condoms in the box and I thought she was like.
So you thought at that point that man and her were having sex?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, that is true.
Now it's Mr. Jackson's turn to act like a spy, talking about all the times he caught Ms. Hines texting other guys. And he's got a whole lot more drama up his sleeve.
And I was on vacation one time, like I was snooping around and I got a phone and I seen like she was texting numerous people. So I had snooped and went through one of the texts and I seen like she was texting this guy and he was like calling her bouncy.
You're doing a lot of snooping.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're snooping, why are you even with her then?
I've just seen so many things that seem shady.
Here's where it gets really spicy. Mr. Jackson fires back, saying her messages with her ex were making him insecure. If you thought that was the end of it, nope, it's about to get more complicated.
He's calling me whore or hoe, whatever, sleeping around. But that's what he's been doing since we got together.
So from the looks of these messages, it seems like you entertaining these women.
The reason why I did what I did because like she had messages in her phone from her other fella that was talking about working on their relationship.
Ms. Hines' best friend steps up and wow, she does not hold back. The court is not impressed with Mr. Jackson's support and we're all waiting to see what excuse he'll come up with next.
I know she's been pretty much taking care of him by herself with my assistance, her mother, no help from him. I do most of the babysitting.
This woman is
He's
irrelevant.
paid me twice for babysitting, $10 a piece, both times. I'm more of a father to this child than he is.
When Mr. Jackson admits he didn't feel a bond with Matthias because the baby didn't look like him, you can almost hear everyone's eyes rolling. The judge doesn't let that slide, and things start to get real as Ms. Hines speaks from the heart about her son.
Mr. Jackson, did you go to any doctor's appointment?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Were you there at the birth?
Not at the birth, but I came after the birth.
And when you saw the baby, what did you feel?
I really didn't feel a connection because like he didn't have really much of my features and I seen that he had like a blondish orange hair and that's just not my family.
Okay,
so
but
I had
you
a reason
didn't
to
feel a
doubt right
connection
there.
from the beginning.
Yeah.
Why didn't you take the paternity test when she offered to pay for it?
Ms. Hines gets emotional as she explains that Matthias deserves to know his family, especially since he doesn't have other boys in his life. This tugs at the court's heartstrings, but before anyone can get too sappy, the judge turns to Mr. Jackson for his big response.
My son needs a father. He needs to know who his people is, where he comes from. It ain't just me. Like, we have no boys in our family. Like, he got little cousins he could play with. Like, after today, he still don't have to be in his son's life. It's fine, but I need him to know and his people to realize that you do have a son.
Judge Lake asks Mr. Jackson what he'd do if Matthias turns out to be his son, and Mr. Jackson hesitates, saying he'd want to be involved if he is the dad. It's a big moment, but with the DNA test right around the corner, things are about to get intense.
If, in fact, Matthias is found to be your biological child.
My intention is I would love to have a son because I have a daughter already. I don't really get to spend much time with her and because she's out of the city, so, and like at least try to make things work out with Rachel. But these accusations and the things that I've seen in the past was holding me back.
This is the bombshell moment.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jackson, you are Matthias's father.
At least like if I can get a hug.
First of all, why would I have sex while my daughter was in the ride with me? The chair moves. Come on. I'm not that dumb.
Yeah, let me get my point straight. Then why did my 7-year-old daughter come tell me straight to my face that you're jumping up and down some dude's lap?
I was told that her ex was in the bed.
While you're out fishing?
Yes.
Who told you that?
A family member.
How would they know who I had in my bed?
They seen him.
Yeah, coming out of the house because you and him are friends, and you know
That's not her.
everything.
That's not
You
him.
know that he was at my house,
It is
even
not
when you
him.
were
I'm
there
not talking
too.
about him.
She gave me, actually I have a list of men. It's about 6 or 7 guys.
67?
About 6 or 7.
I said, wait a minute now. She gave you 6 or 7 names.
Yes, Your Honor.
Of possible father?
Yes, Your Honor. One of them, we had to do a DNA test, and turned out he wasn't my father.
This revelation sets the stage for a tense hearing. Mr. Connor is up in arms, convinced he's not the daddy of the child in question, highlighting how this mix-up has turned his life and wallet upside down, including a stint behind bars for missing child support payments. But wait, there's more! Ms. Wallace's clapback is just a moment away.
Mr. Connor, you say a one-time fling with the defendant turned into more than 15 years of child support payments and even jail time for a child you have never believed is yours. You need today's results to prove you are not her child father.
The plot thickens. Emotions start to boil as Mr. Wallace admits his trust in his mom, but can't shake the doubts recent actions by Mr. Connor have stirred up. Mr. Connor lays it all out, detailing the injustices he feels he suffered, ramping up the emotional intensity of the hearing. And guess what? It only gets juicier from here.
Mr. Wallace, you say you trust your mother, but acknowledge Mr. Connor's recent actions have given you doubt. Mr. Connor.
Today's results are so important, Your Honor, because I need to undo a terrible injustice that's been inflicted upon me and my family. It's caused a lot of problems, financially especially.
Yikes. Talk about a tough break. Mr. Connor paints a grim picture of his financial woes and the domino effect of his jail time due to unpaid child support, including losing his home and job. This saga has seriously shaken up his life, but keep your eyes peeled because the confrontation that's coming up next is a doozy.
It's times when I can't afford things. I've even been to jail. 2005, November the 5th until January 2006. There was no home for me to go to. I lost my car, I lost my job. I was 36 years old. I had to start all over. It's making my character look real bad, Your Honor. Know for a fact that she know he's not mine.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's getting bumpy. A fiery exchange erupts where Ms. Wallace accuses Mr. Connor of trying to dodge child support while he vehemently denies being the father. The courtroom is charged with emotional accusations and finger-pointing about responsibilities and past actions. And trust me, the tension is far from over.
Your Honor, he just wants off child support. For one, it was more than just a one-night fling.
You know Jeffrey isn't my child, and I have you on Facebook.
Well,
Doesn't he?
You can quit pointing your fingers because I'm an adult.
No, you're not. What kind
I'm
of adult?
42 years old. I raised my 3 kids by myself.
You won't believe your ears. Mr. Connor swears the encounter with Ms. Wallace was a brief fling that definitely didn't lead to conception, challenging the story she's been telling. He's adamant it was a one-and-done deal. But hold on, because Ms. Wallace's memory of events paints a whole other picture.
Can you tell me about that? Do you remember this relationship, encounter?
There wasn't a relationship. I met her through a family member. We all used to hang out a little bit here or there in the fall. We came together one time, and up on penetration, she changed her mind, and that was that. I never knew anything about Jeffrey.
This twist might just make your jaw drop, contrasting sharply with Mr. Connor's version. Ms. Wallace reminisces about what she remembers as a year-long romance filled with plenty of encounters, complicating the story even further. She even brings up the moment she found out she was expecting. And just when you thought it couldn't get any more tangled, the explosive confrontation that follows will have you on the edge of your seat.
Remember him and I being in a whole year relationship, and we had sex numerous of times, Your Honor. And he did know. Well, I got sick. How I found out that I was pregnant. I got sick. My mom taking me to my doctor's appointment, and that's when I found out I was 2 months pregnant. I called you and I told you. Back then we had pagers. Shut your lying butt up.
The drama doesn't stop. As the hearing unfolds, we dive into the nitty-gritty of Mr. Connor's sparse interactions with Jeffrey and the ongoing squabbles over paternity and child support. This segment lays bare the complex personal and legal entanglements involved. Keep watching, because the bombshell verdict up next will have you saying, no way.
And you agree to that, Miss Wallace?
Yes, ma'am.
That
Yes,
happened.
Your Honor.
And
Yes.
during the time from 3 to 4 months, 5 years old, did you all ever have conversations about Jeffrey at all?
Yes, me and her had a
He
couple
told me
of
that he wanted to
conversations.
be in his son's life. I told him I did not want to be in a relationship with him. You know,
You're a professional liar.
Here it comes, the big reveal everyone's been waiting for.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Connor, you are not the father.
I already knew it.
Judge Lake dives into the drama, chatting up Ms. Brown, who's suing her mama for a cool $2,200 because, get this, she doesn't know who her daddy. The courts sniffed around and found a dude who might be Pops. And now, they're all about figuring out if they should send him for a paternity test.
Ms. Brown, you're here today suing your mother for $2,200 for emotional distress. You say she's caused you by not knowing who your biological father is. Now, the court has located one possible father and must determine if there is enough evidence evidence to order a paternity test.
Ms. Brown spills it all about taking her mom to court, saying it stings less than her wonky childhood. She throws some serious shade at her mom for playing peekaboo, basically never being around and keeping Dad's identity a big ol' secret despite her constant nagging.
So, Ms. Brown, how does it feel to be suing your mother?
Not as bad as it felt growing up. My mom she wasn't there as much as she should have been there. I asked her on several occasions, do you know who my father could be? My mama just said, I don't know. Every time I asked, it was, I don't know. She gave me, actually, I have a list of men. It's about 6 or 7 guys.
Ms. Brown brings out a list, a literal list of 6 or 7 potential daddies. Plot twist, one guy already flunked the dad test, DNA test, that is. They're zeroing in on Mr. Clifton Smith, who's also in the courtroom, sweating bullets probably because he hasn't been tested yet.
She gave you 6 or 7 names of possible fathers.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are they ranked in order of probability?
No, ma'am, they're not, Your Honor. One of them, we had to do a DNA test. Turned out he wasn't my father.
And is he listed on this?
Yes, ma'am.
Which one is he?
He's the first one.
The man in the Navy, Lee.
Yes, Your Honor.
Not the father, proven by a DNA test.
Shantia lays it all out about how rough her life's been, from bouncing around foster homes to quitting school to nurse her sick grandma. This whole not knowing dad business really did a number on her.
I was in and out of foster care on 3 different occasions. Foster care wasn't so good, you know. I had 4 brothers and a sister. I didn't know where they were. They got split up too. My grandmother got us back. She got sick. I missed 3 months of school. I was in alternative school. I got kicked out because my grandma got sick and I had to take care of her.
Mom, Yolinda Overstreet, gets back with some real talk about her struggles with the mom gig. She admits she was pretty much winging it, overwhelmed by raising 6 kids and just not nailing it.
Ms. Brown Overstreet, how does it feel to hear your daughter speak with such pain in her heart?
I feel like my daughter hates me because of the fact that I wasn't always there and I didn't have a handbook on how to be a parent. I had my kids young and it was 6, I have 6 of them. So it wasn't like it was just one child. I had a hard time trying to be a mother. I didn't know how to raise my kids, and when I lost custody of them, I tried my best to get them back.
He waltzes into the courtroom and shares a wild first encounter with Ms. Brown, thinking she might be his daughter and all that jazz. Despite the mix-up, he's all heart, hoping he's the dad.
We go back a long time. So when I called her, she was like that she was trying to find the father of our daughter. I said, wouldn't it be funny if I was the father? And she was like, oh yeah, I forgot all about you. So when I pulled up, I get out the car and my cousin pointed her out. So I was looking at her. So she came up and I said something to her first and she was smiling at me like I was trying to flirt with her or something. So I'm like, oh, whoa, hold up here. I might be your father. You busy trying to flirt with me.
Mr. Smith tells a tale of a gnarly injury that had doctors saying he might never be a dad. So the plot thickens with whether this guy could even be the father. The court calls in a doc to drop some science on us.
Okay, my reason is when I was 10 years old, I hurt myself really bad. Well, I was folding it back into a couch. My underwear got hooked on a spring and I yanked it, but it went in a lot more on my underwear and just ripped everything open.
Oh, goodness.
That
was the problem. It was horrible. So I didn't remember even having sex with him. So it wasn't my fault that I didn't remember. He probably remembered it, but I didn't remember it.
Dr. Gator, cool as a cucumber, explains how Mr. Smith might still shoot and score as a dad despite his earlier mishap, thanks to how nature works. Looks like the court's all set to make Mr. Smith take the big daddy test.
It's absolutely possible, in my opinion, for Mr. Smith or someone with a testicular injury such as him to father a child. On average, a man releases anywhere between 50 million and 1 billion sperm at a time. So based on the numbers, it's definitely possible for someone with a testicular injury to still father a child as long as the swimmers are normal and healthy.
DNA results are in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Smith, you are not Shantia's father. I'm sorry.
Ms. Hernandez drops a bombshell that her estranged hubby started denying their 3-year-old munchkin, Ligana, only after eyeing a younger chick. This accusation frames the emotional and legal stakes of the proceedings.
Ms. Hernandez, 4 years ago, you met and then married your much younger but seemingly perfect man. You say your estranged husband started denying you and your now 3-year-old daughter, Liana, only after he found another younger woman.
Mr. Hernandez claps back with an accusation of his own, claiming Ms. Hernandez played house with other men while he was off playing sailor on a fishing boat. This introduces the core conflict regarding the paternity of Ligana and their crumbling trust.
Mr. Hernandez, you claim that during the marriage you often spent weeks at a time on a fishing boat for work, only to find out upon returning home that your wife had other men in and out of your house while you were at sea. You and your girlfriend are here to prove Liana is not yours.
We find out Ligana is 3 and missing her daddy big time, which which highlights the emotional toll this mess is taking on her.
It's heartbreaking. It's hard for me to put my daughter down to sleep. All she does is says, dad, 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 all day.
How old is she?
She's 3. She'll be 4 in December.
But the man you believe is her biological father is denying her.
Yes. I don't know what to tell her, Your Honor.
Do you know that this young child is calling out for you, Mr. Hernandez?
No, Your Honor.
We dive into how Ms. Hernandez met Mr. Hernandez, showing us the start of their whirlwind that quickly went from sweet to sour.
How did you all even meet?
I was at a friend of mine's house. He comes up about an hour later walking up to my friend's house.
Okay, so he came over your friend's house.
Yes.
And you met him?
Yes.
Did you immediately hit it off?
Yes.
So Mr. Hernandez, you liked her, she liked you, you all started a relationship.
Yes.
Later on got married.
2 years later.
So you got married 2 years later?
Yes.
Mr. Hernandez starts doubting baby Lagana is his, all thanks to neighborhood gossip about Ms. Hernandez's ex snooping around their home while he was away.
I was told that her ex was in the bed.
While you're out fishing?
Yes.
Who told you that?
A family member.
A family member of yours or hers?
Mine.
How would they know who I had in my bed?
They seen him.
Yeah, coming out of the house because you and him are friends. And you
That's
know
not her.
everything.
That's not
You
him.
know that he was at my house
It is
even
not
when you
him.
were
I'm
there
not talking
too.
about him.
The hospital scene turns into a reality show when family members allegedly tell Mr. Hernandez he's not the father right after Lagana's birth.
What happened at the birth?
2 family members came to the hospital and told me that's not my kid.
Two family members of whom?
Hers.
Hers?
Who?
Your mother.
Your mom? Oh, wait.
Because my mama doesn't like you.
Okay then.
They argue over why Lagana didn't get Mr. Hernandez's last name, suggesting Ms. Hernandez had her doubts from the get-go.
You want her to have your last
I
name?
literally argued with her at the hospital.
No, you didn't.
Then why did I was gonna sign the paperwork to do it for you on the birth certificate and you said no?
Why did you sign it when you knew I had put her last name as Lamont? You shouldn't have signed it.
Judge Lake calls out the inconsistencies in Ms. Hernandez's tales, making everyone in the courtroom scratch their heads.
This testimony you are giving right now is faulty, right? It is not adding up to me. And I need answers. I need to understand from you. Is there any other possible father for your daughter besides Mr. Hernandez?
No.
The DNA test results are announced.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Hernandez, you are the father.
Told you.
Buckle up, folks. Mr. Nicholas kicks things off with a bombshell, doubting he's the dad to little Naomi and Nathaniel because, well, Mrs. Nicholas has been a bit too social. He lays it all out, accusing her of sneaky shenanigans with just about everyone, from strangers to his office buddies. The crowd's gasping like they're watching a soap opera, and you can almost hear the popcorn crunching. Wait till you hear what's next. It's a doozy.
You have brought your wife to court today. You claim you cannot be the father of 4-year-old Naomi because your wife is a habitual cheater and she cannot be trusted. You say you have shocking evidence of your wife's outrageous sexual infidelity, including encounters with strangers in public places.
You're not gonna believe this one. Mrs. Nicholas steps up, admits she goofed big time, but hey, she's seen the light, found religion, and is ready to turn over a new leaf. She's all about proving Mr. Nicholas is the daddy and fixing this hot mess of a marriage. Her plea has the courtroom holding their breath, wondering what's next. Hold on to your seats because this ride's just getting started.
Mrs. Nicholas, you actually admit you made some mistakes in your marriage, but you claim you have now turned your life around and you are a church-going woman who deserves another chance. You state that once these DNA tests prove Mr. Nicholas is the father of all of your children, you are hoping to repair your marriage.
Oh boy, here it comes. Mr. Nicholas drops a juicy tidbit about a rather awkward encounter at his sushi job. Picture this. He's slinging sushi rolls when a random dude claims Mrs. Nicholas is turning the bathroom into her personal love den, stuck at work like a fish out of water, unable to confirm the sordid tale. Just wait, next twist is even wilder.
Let me tell you this first of all. You know, the sushi spot I used to work at, it's a hot silk. People come in and then out. Some guy comes up to me and tells me straight up to my face that my wife is performing oral sex in the bathroom. Yeah.
Wait a minute, you're at work, the sushi restaurant, and a guy just comes up to you.
And tells me that she's performing oral sex in the bathroom.
Hold up, rewind.
During your shift, and then you did what?
I continued working. What am I supposed to do? I couldn't leave my job.
Talk about awkward. Mr. Nicholas tells a tale taller than a roller coaster about his wife supposedly getting frisky on a theme park ride while their kiddo was right there. Mrs. Nicholas calls bull, arguing who in their right mind would pull such a stunt with a kid tagging along. The plot thickens, and you just can't make this stuff up. Up next, it's more he said. She said with an extra helping of scandal.
She went into the Transformer rides with my 7-year-old daughter. Tell you that straight up. Tells me straight to my face that my wife was having sex in the ride.
First of all, why would I have sex while my daughter
was in the ride with me. And the chair moves. Come on. I'm not that dumb.
Yeah, let me get my point straight. Then why did my 7-year-old daughter come tell me straight to my face that you're jumping up and down some dude's lap?
Here we go again. Mr. Nicholas isn't done yet. He's got more dirt. This time, he's dishing about his wife and his pizza place manager cooking up more than just pies behind his back. Mrs. Nicholas admits she was looking for a slice of attention he couldn't serve up. But don't go anywhere, because there's more saucy secrets coming up.
For example, the pizza joint I used to work at. She was having an affair with my manager.
Oh, yes. I'm being honest with you. Yes, I did have an affair. On top of that, every time I try to talk to you, you're just not there for me.
Yeah, just because he's been buying you diapers, all that.
Diapers? Yeah, every time I ask you, you just take off. You spend your money on something else. That's what you do.
And then
yeah, because I'm stressed out because
ask his co-worker to get you some diapers.
Grab your popcorn. This is getting good. Mr. Nicholas, deep in thought, wonders aloud if chatting up another lady about his woes counts as stepping out. The judge lays down the law. Yep, that's emotional cheating, buddy. Mrs. Nicholas owns up to her past flings, hoping to clear the air. You think this is juicy? Just wait till the next part.
Can I ask you one question? Is it cheating if I were to go kick it with another female and just talk to her about my problem? Is that considered
There's
cheating?
emotional cheating too, Mr. Nicholas.
I know I've been with other guys, but I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I know I messed up in the past. That's past.
Okay, can you please just explain to me what about the dude you slept with that looks dead on just like me?
Oh, I meant that one.
Oh, it just keeps getting not better.
Get ready for a curveball. The spotlight shifts back to the kids. Mrs. Nicholas is dead set on proving these munchkins look just like Mr. Nicholas, hoping it'll squash his doubts once and for all. The tension's through the roof as they duke it out with words, each hoping to clinch the win in this paternity puzzle. Fasten your seatbelts. We're about to dive into the results.
Do the DNA and prove him wrong, because I'm getting tired of him saying that, oh, they're not my kids. Come on, they just look like you.
But so does the other guy you slept with. Do you understand why he potentially, maybe, could have some doubt?
Because I cheated on him, but all the time when I was
kids don't look like me though.
They look like me, that's why. Come on now.
No, there's gotta be a part of it where the kids gotta look like me.
And here's the tearjerker finale.
It has been determined, Mr. Nicholas, that you are his father.
Exactly, I told you. God.
Right off the bat, Mr. Johnson spills the beans about his mega doubts concerning his fiance's daughter, Camilla, suspecting she might actually be his fiance's ex's kid. He lays it out clear. If the DNA test proves she isn't his, he's hitting the road. No looking back. Grab some popcorn, because this drama's just heating up.
Mr. Johnson, you claim you are here today with a relationship on the line. Now, you are convinced your fiance's 8-month-old daughter, Camilla, was fathered by her ex-boyfriend and not you. If the DNA results prove your deepest fears are true, you say you plan to leave her and never look back.
Now, Mr. Johnson's talking money. He wants Ms. Quintero to cough up $275 for kiddo expenses. Camilla isn't his. He's been playing daddy, but keeps one eye on the exit, just in case. Stick around, things are about to get even juicier.
Mr. Johnson, you're asking the court to award you $275 in back child care expenses. If the results prove Camilla is not your daughter, you'd like Ms. Quintero to pay you back.
Flashback to a rocky romance roller coaster. Mr. Johnson and Ms. Quintero's love saga has more twists than a pretzel. The bombshell drops, she's pregnant, but the timing's all shades of wrong. Mr. Johnson's reeling, and you'll want to see what comes out when they air more dirty laundry.
I say about a year ago, we ended up talking again. She calls me up one day and she's like, hey, I'm gonna go look for some apartment. You should come with. I was a little busy at the time, so I told her no. I got stuff to do, I can't do it. I called her back later and she never picked up. She calls me up on the phone and like, hey, I'm pregnant. I was at my brother's house, we were having a little get together, we're drinking, just having fun. I tell her right away, hey, I gotta call you back.
Court turns into a soap opera as both admit they weren't just playing house with each other during baby-making season. Mr. Johnson whips out a calendar, trying to prove he might not be the dad based on the X-File timelines. Buckle up, the next revelations are gonna be wild.
So, during the window of conception, did you have sex with Mr. Johnson and your ex?
Yeah.
Mr. Johnson, when was your daughter born?
My daughter was born November 6, 2013.
What are you holding?
I just had a calendar. It just states when Cammie was born. The 2 months at the top is midway when me and Maria started talking in March, and February was the month when she was with her ex.
Workplace chit-chat turns Mr. Johnson's doubts into a full-blown conspiracy theory about Camilla's real dad. He's thinking of ditching the engagement if the kid ain't his. This roller coaster's got a few more loops. Watch how they handle the next curve.
I'm at work and I have people coming up to me like, hey, your girlfriend was with this guy at this time.
What do people at work know about your business?
I publicly display my daughter, and everybody in our our community pretty much knows Maria was with that other guy a long time.
But I was with him for 3 years and never got pregnant.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean it can't
it's just
happen.
like the time I get with him for about 2 to 3 weeks, I get pregnant, but yet me and you.
Ms. Quintero throws a curveball, accusing Mr. Johnson of only playing the not my kid card when he gets caught flirting. She's calling him out, saying he's got a convenient case of daddy doubt. The tension's thick. You won't want to miss what's tossed out next.
So usually he denies her when we're arguing. That's what I feel like. When we're arguing about him talking to other girls, so are you trying to just push it on me like, oh, she might not be mine because you just got caught talking to another girl?
Oh, Your Honor, it's not like that all the time. I've brought it up.
What is it like?
I brought it up plenty of times. There'll just be times I'm like holding her and I'm just like, man, you just don't look like me.
You're too pretty to be mine.
Finally, the moment of truth.
In the case of Johnson v. Quintero, when it comes to 8-month-old Camilla Johnson, Mr. Johnson, you are her father.
Ms. Webster steps up and drops a bombshell. She thinks Mr. Ware might actually be her dad. Talk about awkward family dinners. She's all in, hoping today's DNA results will spill the tea. Brace yourself because this family tree is about to get shaken up.
Ms. Webster, you recently learned shocking news that Myron Smith, the man you believe to be your dad and who paid child support for you, may not be your biological father. Now you've dragged the defendant, Mr. Ware, to paternity court to prove that he is your father and claim today's results will prove your case.
Ms. Webster gets suspicious thanks to some side comments and a few too many family resemblances. Maybe genetics do tell the truth? This revelation has her rethinking her whole life story, and just wait till you hear what she finds out next. This is gold.
Your Honor, I worked in a beauty salon with some of his relatives. They always kind of had something against me. I heard a relative say that that's not none of your father. I started questioning. I asked my mom, I talked to Mr. Smith, like, why are they saying that I'm not a part of their family? He said, you will always be my daughter. I believe in my heart that you are, and no matter what, you'll always be my daughter.
The plot thickens when Ms. Webster discovers she and the man who's supposed to be her dad don't even share the same blood type. Science comes into play, throwing a wrench into everything she knew. Buckle up, because the roller coaster is just taking off.
I still had doubts. I was a blood donor. We talked about blood types, and I know that the mother and the father of the child will have one or the other. Me and Mr. Smith don't have the same blood type. I was in question again. I'm very curious. I was with my cousin, Miss Smith, and she said, you know, I really believe in my heart that Mr. Ware is your father. You chuckle like him. She said, if I close my eyes and you both chuckle, you wouldn't know the difference.
Here comes a curveball. Ms. Webster finds her supposed dad's family all over her baby book. If that doesn't scream family secrets, I don't know what does. The courtroom's about to get rocked with this one.
There was an address. They had the
relatives of Mr. Ware.
Yes, Your Honor.
Have signed into your baby book when you were born. So, Mr. Ware, you knew of this young woman.
Yes, I did.
But you do not believe you're her biological father.
No, I do not. Because at the time when her mom and I were dating, she was in between two cities, Louisville, Kentucky, and Dayton, Ohio.
Fasten your seatbelts. Ms. Webster goes to church, praying for divine signs about her daddy dilemma, and bam, Mr. Ware pops up right behind her. If that's not a sign, I don't know what is. This moment is packed with emotions, and it's not even the finale.
We went to visit him at his church. I knew who he was, but he didn't know who I was. And knowing who my father is one of them. And I came to the Lord. I went to the altar. They had altar call, and I went up and I just prayed that God give me a sign to reveal. So I'm praying and I'm nervous, but I just felt this energy. And when they asked for the prayer warriors to come out, when I got up, Mr. Ware was standing right behind me.
Mr. Smith steps into the courtroom, adding more spice to this paternity stew. He's been writing checks for child support, but doubts linger. The truth is just a DNA test away. Get ready for the big reveal.
You have been paying child support.
Yes, I have.
But you don't believe you're her biological father.
No, I don't. Miss Webster was born September the 17th, which means that she had to be conceived either late December or January. Right there, she was born September the 17th. Last time I was home on leave was late November. So in order for her to be born in September, she had to be conceived either late December or early January. I was in Fort Hood, Texas.
Ms. Brady, the mom, is up next, and she's sticking to her story that Mr. Smith is the daddy, despite him being hundreds of miles away when the magic needed to happen. What's coming up will definitely throw you for a loop.
Her biological father is Mr. Myron Smith.
He says he was gone. He was serving the time that she was conceived. Is that not true?
Right, but Mr. Smith also came home on leave. Once we got together, Mr. Smith went back to the service, and then I was pregnant. When Mr. Smith called me one day, I said, you know what? I'm pregnant.
Hold on to your popcorn.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Ware, you are not her father.